Hey guys, it's Elgin Walker here, EXP Realty, the Elgin and Pilar Walker team. And just want to have a quick discussion because everybody else is discussing it, so we might as well discuss it too. Yeah, obviously there's been a major breakthrough on this NAR settlement in regarding the real estate agent commissions and transparency, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. How is it going to affect the market overall? How is it going to affect real estate agents and brokers and brokerages? All of that. And I mean, it's a huge settlement. It's the 410, 420 million, whatever it is. It's a lot of money, right? Everybody's gonna have an opinion, which there's nothing wrong with. We all have opinions on stuff. So here's my perspective. The first thing, my perspective is that none of us really know right now, at all, how things will be affected, if they'll be affected at all or affected much. It's too early. We don't even know how this is going to play out. This is not something that's some kind of signed law or anything like that agreed upon. There's still layers to this thing, but let's assume at this particular point that this is what it's going to be. And they're saying that now in the MLS you won't have buyer agents commissions listed, and all this sort of stuff. And what does that do? And you need the MLS still, just things like that. So let's just talk about a couple of quick things if you're an agent. The first thing is, if you're a realtor right now, don't panic. Don't panic. Work on your skill set. Make sure you're bringing value to buyers and sellers, and you'll adjust and adapt based upon what happens in the marketplace. So let's assume, like for myself, when we list properties, and I've been doing this, all of my career, at least the majority of it, is when, we are disclosing what our commission is and the seller is accepting that commission, is I explain to the sellers that half of the commission was going to the buyer's agent or whatever the percentage was, and the other half was going to me. Also, in our California contracts, it states on the contract how much you're offering the buyer's agent and how much you're keeping. So the seller is aware of those things. Now, remember, the purpose of offering a buyer's agent commission is so that buyers agents who have buyers that may be looking in that price range, in that neighborhood, in that area, will show those buyers that property. You're possibly able to put a transaction together and close. So from a seller's standpoint, it's advantageous to make sure that there is compensation done to the buyer's agent that way, right? Now, I know there are a lot of people that are saying, well, now the buyer will have their own different type of representation, and the buyer will be able to negotiate, their commission rate with the real estate agent. And that actually is true. But let me ask you a question. Right now, if you're buying a piece of property, you can get full representation with a real estate agent and not pay commission. The commission is already being provided as part of the contract that the listing agent and the seller have agreed to, and the seller has agreed to pay that buyer's commission. So now, of course, you are, let's say that you've got your own representation. Well, your own representation, that buyer's agent, needs to be compensated somehow. So let's suppose we're in the same price range that you've been looking at and what you pre-approved for and all of that. So now, though, on top of whatever the down payment is that you're coming in with, that down payment, you're now have to pay for your representation, because you're not going to get a realtor that's going to work for free. You're not going to get a realtor that can work for free. You would work for free at your job. So now, not only are you coming up with whatever the down payment is, but you're also coming up with the cost of paying your realtor, right? You're looking at your cost for paying your realtor to get into that same piece of property. So whatever that is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is on a percentage basis, flat fee, whatever it is, whatever that agent is willing to work for, their value of, you negotiate, whatever it is, though, you're coming out of your pocket more money. So I'm hearing people that, in my opinion, people that are not involved in the real estate industry or don't understand it, either they're just looking at it from a legislation standpoint, are saying, well, if the commission comes down, the prices are going to come down. Now, my question for that is why? How do you figure that? How do you figure that? Think about it. How do you figure that? You figure that, well, if the seller's not paying as much commission, they're going to bring the prices of their home down. I mean, who would do that? No, the seller's going to be looking at us to put more money in their pocket. They're not going to be looking to take the price of their home down. They're looking for the fact that, okay, that, you know what, we don't have to pay the buyer's commission anymore, and we choose not to. So if we choose not to, you're going to pay us, and then we're going to get more money, because this is what the market says the house was worth. And quite honestly, with everything on the internet, et cetera, and all of that, there are going to be people looking, buyers, which they do now, but are now going to want to come directly to the listing agent. They come to the listing agent and looking for, expecting, quote unquote, a deal. We have to understand the listing agent's responsibility at this point, especially with no buyer's agent commission, being given by the seller. Their sole thing that they're looking to do is to represent the seller. So if you're representing the seller and a buyer comes to you and they want you to put together an offer, try to negotiate a deal, et cetera, well, if you're going to also work with the buyer and you also now have that liability as an agent or as a brokerage, aren't you going to want the buyer to pay you something? The buyer, the listing agent, in the way this looks right now, the listing agent is going to tell you, as Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I now need you to pay me a flat fee, a certain percent, whatever the case may be. And does that mean you're going to get the price of the home lower? As we speak right now, as it looks at it, I personally don't think that that's the case. I personally don't think that's the case. But we'll see. I don't think this thing is anywhere near to finished. I also feel that as agents, I'm not going to tell you don't worry about it. What I am going to tell you is don't dwell on it. It's going to be what it's going to be. The only thing that you can change, the only thing that you can do to be prepared for whatever it is to make sure that you are always learning, working on your skills to give each buyer and seller the best opportunity to obtain what they're looking to obtain as far as home ownership goes, as far as selling goes, as far as an investor goes, as far as whatever it is. That you have control of. The rest of this stuff, you don't have any control over it. All righty. I'm sure we'll be talking about this down in the future. And thank you for listening. Elgin Walker from the Elgin & Walker team at eXp Realty. Have a good one.